Well, let's bring you some analysis on these US midterm elections. I'm joined here in the studio by Frederic Charillon. He's a professor in international relations. Thanks very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
We saw in that package there, the political tsunami that was expected for the Democrats didn't quite happen. Can we say, though, that it's a steady momentum ahead of 2020 elections for the Democrats?
It was difficult anyway to have a landslide victory for any of the two parties because the nature of the election, as you know, and as we could hear, is not the global election, some seats only or in competition, and so it was not the nature of the election could not lead to something absolutely indisputable. But still, the result is mixed, leaves mixed feelings. We could hear some minutes ago Ted Cruz saying it was an election, it was a contest for who we are. It was probably right because Donald Trump had divided the country so much that indeed it was a contest for who or what is the United States today, and we don't have the result. The result is that the country is still very much divided, and it's probably the main result of this election. No clear-cut result, no definitive loss of fame, or no sanction for Donald Trump. Still, some progress for the Democrats. Obviously, it would be a very tricky situation for both parties.
I mean, a divided country, as you say, and that's very much reflected in, we see the House of Representatives now with the Democrats, of course, the Senate with Republicans, so a clear reflection of that. When it comes to what the Democrats will now be able to do in terms of Donald Trump, can we expect more investigations into some of, his business transactions, his tax returns, or perhaps impeachment? What can we expect from Democrats?
The Democrats will probably have more room to maneuver in their will to investigate and to be a problem for Donald Trump. The other consequence probably is that it's not a real consequence. It's that the Democrats will be in better position to prevent the deals proposed by Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is not someone who's looking for deals or compromises. So maybe with another president, we could have said that the result of this election would be that compromises would be more difficult between the two parties. But Donald Trump is not the kind of guy who tries to make compromises. So I'm not sure it will change many things because it is a divided country, and so we'll have the division. It would have been different with a president who would be willing to forge compromises or to find a dialogue with the opposition. It's not really his kind.
There have nonetheless, though, been increasing Republican senators, for example, who are unhappy with the way that things are going politically in the US. Do you think that Donald Trump will be able to defy calls for change? I mean, he might have to deal with more bipartisanship and actually go more towards the Democrats.
Well, first of all, there is always a change after an election or a midterm election. Even with the president whose ideology or approach seems to be strong and absolutely definitive. We remember George Bush Jr., George W. Bush, after his own re-election. He changed his course of action totally. He changed his style. It was more compromising with different parties. Maybe it will be the case for Donald Trump. The second point is that Donald Trump is a deal broker. He's someone whose pride is to be able to find deals and compromises. It's his image. That's what he wants probably to be, how he wants to be seen. As someone who's able to strike a compromise or a deal and so on. So probably, yes, he will try. He will try, but his interest is not to change his personality. His interest is not to turn into someone who wants to build compromises with everyone, because his success so far lies in the fact that he is someone tough, and that's probably what is very pleasing to his electoral basis. So it's not politically his interest would be to change his method. from the point of view of his image and in the perspective of the next presidential election, it might not be his interest.
I mean, let's think a little bit about what it means for Republicans having been able to hold on, even if it's a narrow majority within the Senate. In terms of, judicial decisions that need to be made, does that mean more decisions regarding the Supreme Court that the Republicans are going to be able to hold on to?
Well, anyway, the president will keep his prerogatives, and so this will not change. The signal, the political signal, is simply that this election was considered as a kind of referendum for pro or con, for or against Trump, and obviously the Republicans has not lost it all. They can claim that after all, Trump is not the disaster for the party that some thought he would be.